Have you ever made a decision so absurd that it changed your entire universe? I'm Marcus Chen, and 3 months ago, I signed an alien marriage contract without reading the fine print. And let me tell you, that was either the stupidest or the most brilliant thing I've ever done. The contract arrived on a Tuesday, which should have been my first warning, because nothing good ever happens on a Tuesday. I was sitting in my cramped apartment on Colony Station Artemis, drowning in debt from my father's medical treatments, when a holographic messenger materialized in my living room. The blue figure spoke in perfect English. Marcus Chen, you have been selected as a compatible match for the interspecies cultural exchange program. Your financial obligations will be eliminated upon acceptance. Do you accept? I stared at the floating document, my hands shaking. 200,000 credits of debt gone. All I had to do was marry an alien I'd never met and participate in some cultural exchange for one standard year. My logical brain screamed no, but my desperate heart whispered yes. I pressed my thumb to the hologram. The messenger smiled. Excellent choice. Your bride will arrive in 72 hours. Her name is Lyra. The hologram vanished, and I immediately realized I might have just sold myself into the universe's worst blind date. I spent the next 3 days researching everything I could about the program, but information was surprisingly scarce. The interspecies cultural exchange was legitimate, run by the Galactic Council, designed to foster understanding between humans and the thousands of alien species now sharing our corner of space. But why me? I was nobody, just a medical supply clerk with a talent for languages and a mountain of debt. When the day came, I stood in the station's arrival bay, my heart hammering against my ribs like it wanted to escape. The transport ship docked with a hiss of pressurized air. The airlock opened, and she walked through. I forgot how to breathe. Lyra was stunning in a way that made my brain short-circuit. She looked almost completely human, maybe in her early 20s, with delicate features that seemed carved from moonlight itself. Her hair fell in platinum waves past her shoulders, catching the station's lights and shimmering like liquid silver. Her skin had the faintest luminescent glow, as if she carried starlight beneath the surface. The only obviously alien feature was her ears, elegantly pointed and slightly elongated, which somehow made her more beautiful rather than strange. She wore fitted tactical pants in deep midnight blue and a sleek, high-neck top with subtle armor plating along the shoulders. The kind of practical but stylish outfit you'd see on a starship pilot or a professional diplomat. But it was her eyes that captured me, large and expressive, the color of distant nebulas, purple and silver swirling together. She looked directly at me, and I saw something unexpected there, nervousness. She was scared too. Marcus Chen? Her voice was soft, musical, with an accent I couldn't place. I nodded, not trusting my voice. She stepped closer, carrying a small bag, everything she'd brought to this new life. I am Lyra. It's very nice to meet you. She extended her hand in the human custom, and when I took it, her skin was warm, her grip gentle but firm. You're really doing this? I blurted out, marrying a complete stranger. A small smile played at her lips. I could ask you the same question. I needed the money, I admitted, then immediately felt like garbage. That sounded terrible. I mean, it's honest, she interrupted, and her smile widened slightly. I appreciate honesty. I needed something different, a new beginning. We both have our reasons. There was a story there, something deeper. But before I could ask, a metallic voice announced the arrival bay was closing. We should go, I said. I have an apartment. It's small, really small. I should warn you, I'm sure it's perfect, Lyra said. And the way she said it made me think she'd lived in worse, which seemed impossible for someone so poised. The first week was awkward in the way that living with a stranger always is. Except this stranger was technically my wife, and also not entirely human. We orbited each other carefully in my tiny apartment, learning each other's rhythms. Lyra was neat to the point of being meticulous, arranging her few belongings with precise care. She meditated every morning, sitting cross-legged in front of my window overlooking the station's agricultural dome, her eyes closed, her breathing so slow, I sometimes checked to make sure she was alive. She ate sparingly, preferring vegetables and fruits, and she had a weakness for coffee that bordered on addiction. This is the greatest achievement of human civilization, she declared on day 3, clutching her mug with both hands, her eyes closed in bliss. I laughed. We've got faster than light travel, quantum computers, And you choose coffee? Absolutely. She opened one eye to look at me. Your species got at least one thing perfectly right. I found myself looking forward to these small moments, these glimpses of personality. She was funny in a dry, unexpected way. She was curious about everything, asking questions about human culture, history, entertainment. She binge-watched old Earth movies and cried during the ending of a romantic comedy, which she tried to hide, but I noticed. She was intelligent, speaking at least 6 languages that I counted, and when she helped me with my work inventory reports, she optimized my entire system in under an hour. But there was something else, something she was hiding. She received encrypted messages on a device she kept close, always stepping into the bathroom to answer them. Sometimes I caught her staring out the window with an expression of profound sadness, as if she'd left something precious behind. Twice, I woke in the night to hear her speaking in a language I didn't recognize, her tone, urgent and commanding, completely different from her usual soft voice. When she emerged, she'd smile and apologize for waking me, but wouldn't explain. On day 12, everything changed. We were walking through the station's market district, Lyra marveling at the mix of human and alien vendors, when 3 figures in dark combat armor appeared, blocking our path. They were Zenthari, a warrior species known for being excellent mercenaries and terrible at subtlety. Lady Lyra, the lead one said, his voice a deep rumble. You need to come with us, now. I stepped in front of her without thinking. She's not going anywhere. The Zenthari looked at me the way you'd look at an annoying insect. Human, this doesn't concern you. Step aside. Actually, it does concern me, I said, my heart racing. She's my wife. You want her. You go through me. I had no idea how to fight a Zenthari. I was absolutely going to die. But something strange happened. Lyra touched my shoulder, and when she spoke, her voice carried authority that made the air itself seem to vibrate. Stand down, all of you. The Zenthari immediately stepped back. Not because of me, because of her. The lead warrior bowed his head. Forgive us, Your Majesty, but the situation is critical. The council is in chaos. The Void Syndicate has made demands. They're threatening the peace accords. They need you, Your Majesty. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. I turned to look at Lyra, this woman I'd been living with, who'd stolen my coffee and cried at romantic movies and reorganized my supply closet. Majesty? I whispered. She met my eyes, and I saw guilt there and fear and something that might have been hope. Marcus, I can explain. Your royalty? My voice cracked. Not just royalty, the Zenthari said, apparently feeling helpful. She is Queen Lyra Velshara, Supreme Sovereign of the Velshara Empire, Commander of the Stellar Fleet, Keeper of the Ancient Accords, and Arbiter of That's Enough, Krath, Lyra said quietly. She looked at me, and I saw her hands were shaking. Marcus, please. Let me explain. We went back to the apartment, the Zenthari guards waiting outside, and Lyra told me everything. She was the queen of one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy, ruling over 47 star systems and billions of citizens. She'd inherited the throne at 16 when her parents were killed in an assassination. For 6 years, she'd ruled alone, making impossible decisions, balancing politics, preventing wars, carrying the weight of an entire civilization on her shoulders. I was drowning, she said, sitting on my worn couch, her hands wrapped around a coffee mug she wasn't drinking. Everyone wanted something from me. Every decision affected millions of lives. I couldn't trust anyone because everyone had an agenda. I was powerful and completely alone. She'd discovered the interspecies cultural exchange program during a diplomatic meeting and had seen an impossible opportunity. A chance to be normal, even if just for a little while. She'd registered under a false name, pulled strings to get matched, and disappeared from her empire with only her most trusted advisors knowing the truth. I was going to tell you, she said, finally meeting my eyes. I was enjoying being Lyra. Just Lyra, not the queen, not the sovereign. Just a person drinking too much coffee and watching movies and talking with someone who wanted nothing from me. I wanted the money, I said bitterly. That's exactly my point, she said, and there was a hint of her usual humor. You wanted money, not political favors or trade agreements or military alliances. You were honest. You treated me like a person. I should have been angry. I should have felt betrayed. But instead, I thought about the past 12 days, about the woman who'd reorganized my closet and cried at movies and asked 1,000 questions about Earth history. That hadn't been a lie. That had been real. So what now? I asked. Now I have to go back, she said, and her voice broke slightly. There's a crisis. The Void Syndicate is threatening to break the peace accords. I spent 3 years negotiating. If war breaks out, billions could die. I have to. She trailed off, setting down the mug. I have to be the queen again. Then I'm coming with you, I said. She blinked. What? I'm coming with you, I repeated, my mind racing, but my heart certain. We're married, right? Legally bound by Galactic Council law? So I'm coming with you. Marcus, you don't understand what you're offering. My world, my life, it's dangerous. It's complicated. It's full of people who will see you as a weakness to exploit or an asset to manipulate. You'll be scrutinized, judged, possibly targeted. Sounds like a typical Tuesday, I said, and was rewarded with a surprised laugh. Besides, you said you were alone. You don't have to be anymore. Lyra looked at me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in her expression. Hope, maybe. Or the beginning of trust. You would do that? Leave your life here? What life? I gestured around the cramped apartment. My job is inventory management. My only friend is my neighbor's cat. You paid off my debts. I've got nothing keeping me here. But maybe, just maybe, I could be useful out there. I speak 12 languages. I'm good at logistics. I'm excellent at organizing things. And apparently, I'm married to a queen, so I might as well see how the other half lives. You're insane, she said, but she was smiling now, really smiling. Probably, I agreed. Is that a problem? No, she said softly. No, I think it might be exactly what I need. She stood, and suddenly she carried herself differently, her posture straighter, her presence filling the room. This was the queen, I realized. This was the woman who commanded empires. But when she extended her hand to me, it trembled slightly. Still human, still scared, still. Lyra, I took her hand. Okay then, Your Majesty, let's go save the galaxy. Just Lyra, she said firmly. When it's us, I'm just Lyra, okay? Just Lyra. But you're buying the coffee on this trip. The Zenthari guards nearly had a collective heart attack when I walked out with Lyra. But she silenced their protests with a single look. He comes with me. This is not negotiable. We boarded her ship, which was waiting in the station's diplomatic bay, and I realized I'd gone from living in 400 square feet to standing in a vessel the size of a city block. The interior was beautiful, all flowing lines and elegant technology, with crew members who stopped and bowed deeply when Lyra passed. She'd changed into formal attire, a stunning outfit of deep blue and silver that marked her as royalty, with intricate designs that seemed to move in the light. She looked every inch the queen, but she still held my hand. The journey to her empire's capital took 18 hours through hyperspace, and Lyra used the time to prepare me. She explained the political situation, the key players, the delicate balance she maintained. The Void Syndicate was a coalition of fringe systems that felt marginalized by the major empires. They weren't entirely wrong, but their methods had become increasingly violent. They demanded Lyra abdicate and dissolve the empire's centralized power, or they'd reveal a secret that could destabilize the entire galactic order. What secret? I asked. Lyra hesitated, then said quietly, my parents weren't assassinated by random extremists. They were killed by members of my own council who wanted to seize power. I discovered the truth 2 years ago. I've been quietly removing the conspirators, but if the full truth came out now, before I've secured loyal replacements, it could trigger a civil war. The syndicate somehow learned about it. They're threatening to release the evidence, so you give them what they want, or they blow up your government from the inside, I said. Exactly. I thought for a moment. What if there's a third option? I'm listening. What if you release the evidence yourself? I said, the idea forming as I spoke. Control the narrative. You've spent 2 years investigating, removing the guilty parties, right? You have proof of their crimes. You present it not as a secret that makes you look weak, but as a victory. You protected your empire from internal corruption. You're not hiding the truth. You're bringing justice. The syndicate loses their leverage, and you look stronger. Lyra stared at me, her eyes wide. That's, actually, brilliant. Risky, but brilliant. If I present it correctly, frame it as my victory over those who would destroy everything my parents built, You're not the queen hiding secrets, I continued, warming to the idea. You're the queen who rooted out traitors and protected her people. You turned their weapon into your crown. A slow smile spread across Lyra's face, and it was fierce and beautiful. You've been here less than a day and you're already changing how I see problems. How did I survive 6 years without you? Lots of coffee? I suggested. She laughed, and the sound filled the ship's observation deck where we stood. Then her expression turned serious. If we do this, there will be pushback. Powerful people will fall. Some will fight back. It will be dangerous. I'm starting to think dangerous is our normal, I said. She squeezed my hand. Thank you, Marcus, for coming with me, for seeing me. Both versions, the queen and just Lyra, they're the same person, I said. That's what makes you incredible. She leaned her head on my shoulder, this woman who ruled star systems, and we stood together watching the stars streak past. For a moment, we were just two people finding comfort in each other. Then the ship's AI announced we were approaching the capital, and Lyra straightened, transforming back into the queen. But she didn't let go of my hand. The capital world of Velshar Prime was breathtaking. A planet of gleaming cities and pristine oceans, orbital stations that glittered like jewelry, and ships of every description filling the space lanes. We docked at the Royal Palace, a structure so massive and beautiful it looked like someone had carved a mountain from crystal and taught it to float. The reception was overwhelming. Hundreds of officials, guards, advisors, all bowing, all speaking at once, all demanding Lyra's attention. I saw her shoulders tense, saw the weight settling back onto her. I stayed close, my presence a reminder that she wasn't alone. The council convened within hours, a gathering of the Empire's most powerful leaders, and I watched from the side as Lyra stood before them. She was magnificent. She presented the evidence of the conspiracy with calm precision, showing how she'd spent 2 years protecting the Empire, how she'd removed the corruption that had killed her parents and threatened their civilization. Some council members were shocked. Others were angry. A few looked terrified, probably wondering if their own secrets would be next. But nobody could deny the strength of her evidence or the righteousness of her cause. Then she addressed the Void Syndicate's demands. You wanted to use this truth as a weapon against me, she said, her voice carrying through the chamber. But truth is not a weapon. It's a foundation. Yes, my empire had corruption. I found it. I eliminated it. Now I stand before you, before all the galaxy, with nothing to hide. Your leverage is gone. But my offer stands. Join us at the table. Participate in the governance you claim to want. Prove you care about justice, not just power. Or reveal yourselves as opportunists who never cared about truth at all. It was a masterful move. The syndicate couldn't release evidence she'd already made public. They couldn't claim moral high ground when she was offering them legitimate participation. They would either have to engage in good faith or expose themselves as bad actors. The council chamber erupted in discussion, but I could see the tide turning. Lyra had transformed a crisis into a triumph. After the session, Lyra found me in the side gallery. She looked exhausted, but victorious. We did it, she said. You did it, I corrected. I just made a suggestion. You're the one who sold it. We did it, she repeated firmly. Together, over the following weeks, I found my place in this strange new world. Lyra appointed me as her cultural liaison, a position that let me use my language skills and logistical experience to help manage the Empire's increasingly diverse population. I was good at it, finding ways to bridge gaps between different species, solving problems that others thought were cultural incompatibilities but were really just communication failures. And every night, no matter how busy we were, Lyra and I had coffee together in her private quarters. She'd changed into comfortable clothes, her hair down, her formal demeanor set aside. We'd talk about our days, share small moments, and slowly, carefully, we became more than partners in a political arrangement. We became friends. And then something more. It happened gradually, then all at once. The way she'd seek out my opinion in meetings, the way her face would light up when I entered a room, the way our hands would find each other without thinking. The moment I realized I'd fallen in love with her was during a state dinner, watching her navigate complex diplomatic conversations in 6 different languages, brilliant and graceful and strong. And then she'd caught my eye across the room and winked. And I'd seen just Lyra beneath Queen Lyra. And my heart had made a decision. My brain was still catching up to. I think she realized it around the same time, because after the dinner, she took my hand and led me to the palace gardens, a place of bioluminescent plants that glowed in the darkness like captured stars. Marcus, she said, and her voice was uncertain in a way it never was in council chambers. This arrangement between us, this marriage, it started as a contract, a convenience. But for me, it's become, she trailed off, searching for words. Real. I finished. It's become real. Yes, she breathed. Very real. You've become essential to me. Not because of politics or duty, but because of who you are. Your humor, your kindness, your brilliant mind. The way you see solutions where others see only problems. The way you see me, both the queen and the woman, and value them equally. I love you, I said, because subtlety had never been my strength, and my heart was too full for games. I love you, Lyra. Both versions, all versions. The coffee addict and the sovereign. The movie crier and the diplomatic genius. All of it. She kissed me then, and the bioluminescent plants seemed to glow brighter. Or maybe that was just how the whole universe felt in that moment. When we finally pulled apart, she was crying and smiling at the same time. I love you too, she said. You were supposed to be a convenient arrangement, and you became everything. I have a talent for exceeding expectations, I said, and she laughed through her tears. Marcus Chen, will you marry me again? She asked. Properly this time, not as a contract, but as a choice. Will you be my husband, my partner, my best friend? Will you stand beside me, not because of money or obligation, but because you want to? I thought we were already married, I pointed out. Technically, yes, but I want to choose it. I want you to choose it. I want us to promise each other with full knowledge of who we are and what we're building. I pretended to think about it. Do I still get free coffee? She shoved my shoulder gently. You're impossible. Is that a yes on the coffee? Yes. You ridiculous man. Unlimited coffee. The finest in the empire. Then yes, I said. Yes. I'll marry you again. Yes. I'll stand beside you. Yes. To all of it. We kissed again, and somewhere in the palace, I was sure there were guards and advisors and council members who would have opinions about the human who'd married their queen. But in that moment, under stars that shone on 47 systems, none of that mattered. We were just two people who'd found each other in the strangest way possible and chosen to stay. The second wedding was a state affair, broadcast across the empire, with representatives from 100 worlds. But Lyra insisted on writing our own vows, and when she stood before me in a gown that looked like it was woven from starlight itself, with her platinum hair adorned with crystals and her pointed ears decorated with traditional Velshara jewelry, she wasn't reciting political promises. She was speaking from her heart. You came into my life when I was drowning, she said, her voice clear and strong. You saw me not as a queen to serve, or a power to exploit, but as a person to know. You made me laugh. You challenged my thinking. You stood between me and danger without hesitation. You became my anchor and my wings, the one who keeps me grounded and helps me soar. I was the queen of everything, but I had nothing that mattered. Now I have you, and I have everything. I tried to match her eloquence, but my voice shook with emotion. I signed a contract thinking I was solving a problem. I didn't know I was finding my purpose. You are the most incredible person I've ever known, and every day with you is a gift I don't deserve, but will treasure anyway. You don't need me to be complete. You're already extraordinary. But I promise to stand beside you, support you, challenge you, and love you for as long as you'll have me. You're the queen of everything, but to me, you're just Lyra, and that's more than enough. There wasn't a dry eye in the chamber, and I was pretty sure I saw even the stern Zenthari guards wiping their faces. When we kissed, the empire erupted in celebration, but I barely heard it. I was too focused on the woman in my arms, the one who'd chosen me just as much as I'd chosen her. The months that followed were intense. The Void Syndicate, true to Lyra's prediction, had split. The genuine reformers accepted her offer and joined the political process, bringing fresh perspectives and much-needed change. The opportunists revealed themselves and were dealt with accordingly. Lyra's approval ratings soared as she became known not just as a powerful queen, but as a just one, willing to expose corruption even when it was dangerous. I threw myself into my work, expanding cultural exchange programs, improving communication systems across the empire, and somehow becoming an unexpected ambassador for human-alien relations. Turns out, being married to the queen and genuinely caring about people was a powerful combination. But the best moments were still the small ones. Coffee in the morning while Lyra reviewed reports and I organized her schedule. Movie nights where we introduced each other to our favorite films, her curled against my side, my arm around her shoulders. Walks in the gardens where we'd discuss everything from philosophy to the latest council gossip. The moments when she'd be in the middle of some crucial negotiation and catch my eye, and I'd see just Lyra smile at me before the queen took back over. One evening, about 6 months after our second wedding, we stood on the palace balcony overlooking the capital city. The sun was setting, painting the sky in colors that Earth had never seen, purples and golds and shimmering silvers. Lyra leaned against the railing, and I wrapped my arms around her from behind, resting my chin on her shoulder. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "Signing that contract? Getting tangled up in all this?" "Every day," I said, and felt her tense. "I regret that I didn't read it more carefully. I might have asked for better coffee in the agreement." She elbowed me gently, relaxing. "I'm serious." "So am I said, turning her to face me. "Lyra, you are the best decision I never meant to make. You're the accident that became my purpose. You're the blind date that became my forever." "Do I regret it?" "Not even for a second, even though your life is infinitely more complicated now." "Complicated is good," I said. "Complicated means interesting. Complicated means important. Complicated means I get to spend every day with the most incredible woman in the galaxy, doing work that actually matters, being part of something bigger than myself." "You want to know what I regret?" "I regret all the time I wasted before I met you." She kissed me softly, and when she pulled back, her eyes were shimmering with unshed tears. "I was the queen of everything, but I had nothing. Now I have you, and I finally understand what it means to be rich." "That's very poetic," I said. "Did you prepare that in advance?" "Shut up and kiss me again," she commanded, and I did, because some royal orders are a pleasure to follow. As we stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, while the alien sun set over an empire of 47 star systems, I thought about the contract I'd signed in desperation, about the woman who'd walked through the airlock into my life, about all the impossible moments that had led to this one. I'd accepted an alien marriage deal to escape debt, unaware that my bride was the queen of everything. But the real surprise wasn't her crown or her power or her empire. The real surprise was discovering that the queen of everything had chosen me, not for what I could offer her kingdom, but for who I was when no one else was watching. She was the queen of everything, yes, but I was the king of her heart. And in the end, that was the only throne that mattered. We went inside as the stars began to emerge, Lyra, already talking about the next day's council session, her hand firmly in mine. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new crises, new impossible decisions. But we'd face them together, the queen and the clerk who'd stumbled into the most important job in the galaxy, being her partner. And somewhere in a filing system on Colony Station Artemis, there was a contract that had changed to lives, proving that sometimes the best decisions are the ones we make without thinking. And sometimes the greatest love stories start with the words, "Do you accept?" I accepted an alien marriage deal, unaware my bride was the queen of everything. But she accepted me too, fully aware that I was just a clerk with nothing to offer but myself. In the end, we were both richer for it.